I had a nice cart, and the food sure smelling good. Yeah, yeah. Well, I know that if it wasn't for my master Hugh Ard to come and save me, there would never be no Frederick Douglass. Because they were planning on shipping me down to Alabama and down to Mississippi. And once you go down to Alabama and Mississippi, there is no escaping. So again, the cards was on my side. Because Master Hugh Ard, you know what he did? He would teach me how to be a ship caulker. That means that put in between the wood plates, I would put hay in between, and they would put cement to make sure, so the ship could float. Well, he will allow me to hire myself out. So I would go out and I would make money. Yeah, like an employee. Sir, I would get paid $6 a week. I'd take my $6 because I had to, ma'am. I'd take my $6 and I'd give it to Master Hugh Ard. Well, when I gave my money to Master every Friday, he started feeling guilty. And he started giving me some of that money back. Yes, he did. Anybody want to take a guess how much he gave me back? $1. That's the 1800, sir. How much you think he gave me? Now, come on up a little bit. How about a nickel? Out of $6, I got a nickel. Well, as the story goes, after a while, I wound up and got me another job. Yeah, I got me another job, and I got me a raise. This time I'm making $10 a week. Well, I would do my norm. Sir, I'll take them $6 and give them to Master. Those $4, I'll take them and hide them. And Master even had the nerve to give me another raise. He took me from a nickel to how much? No, a big old quarter. That's right. So I have get $4 and a quarter every week. That's right. So I started saving up those $4, sir. And then I met this young lady. Where's my wife at? There she is. I met this young lady, Miss Anna Murphy. Mary. Yeah. We met each other. I was 19 and she was 17. The beautiful thing about her, besides our courtship, she would wind up selling a lot of her merchandise because she was a free black woman. She would sell her merchandise, and also she knew a young man who was in the Navy. Yeah. So she wound up getting a Navy outfit for me. That's right. And on September the 3rd, 1838, sir, I made my move. And there was a train coming. That's right. People get ready, there's a train a-coming. Oh, look at my sister. Go ahead on. She's my backup singer too. People get ready. Come on now. Well, anyway, as the train came, quite naturally, I couldn't get on that train in the regular way. I had to wait till the train started moving. So when the train started moving, I run and I jump on the train. Now I got on a pair of white pants, red shirt, white cap, and I got an ID. The ID is just a piece of paper with an eagle on it. Well, I'm sitting down in the car, and as I'm sitting down by the window, behind me, as I went in, I noticed there were two black guys. Behind me, there was a black woman, all right? And here comes the conductor. Tickets! Ticket, ticket, ticket! And I'm getting scared. The closer he comes, I get scared. Ticket, ticket! And I heard him talking to the two black guys. You boys got a ticket? You boys better have a ticket. Yes, sir, we have a ticket. Well, they showed the ticket, and he said, now y'all sit there and be quiet. And the strange thing of it is, when he got up to me, his whole demeanor changed. Oh, you in the military? I said, yes, sir. Where you going? I'm going back to Fort, sir. He said, you got some ID? I said, no, sir, I don't have any ID. I usually leave my ID at the fort when I'm coming home. He said, do you have anything on you to prove who you are? I said, yes, sir. I got a pass. Well, let me see that pass. So I go in, and I pull out a piece of paper with an eagle on it. And I wave it at him. And then, real quickly, I put it back in my pocket. Now, if he would have said, let me see that thing, I would have been in trouble. You never would have heard of Frederick Douglass. But what he did, he said, okay, you just sit here and be quiet. And don't say a word. I said, yes, sir. And I have you know, if you see me perspiring now, you could have just put a bucket under me. That's how I was sweating. So anyway, anyway, I arrived in New York City. 24 hours later from Baltimore, I arrived in New York City. When I get off the train, what do I see? I see wonderful black folks. I see black men with black suits on, tall hats. I see black women with them beautiful dresses on with their little pocketbooks and their little hats on. I see black men who would approach the women and they would take their hat off and they would bow to the black women. Oh man, that was such a wonderful time. But then as I would look around, I would see up on the pole, wanted, runaway slaves, $50. Wanted, runaway slaves, $100. Wanted, runaway slaves, $500. So I had to be on alert, sir, because the last thing I wanted to do was be back into slavery. So there was a gentleman who came up to me, a black guy came up to me and he started talking to me. I was kind of leery and weary because I thought maybe he might be coming up to turn me in. Because it's one of these, this is how they would do it. Come go with me. And they say, you know, they lead you to a trap house where you be on reserve until the master will come get you. But this slave, he had me, he got me, and then he took me. And he took me to a gentleman's name by the name of Mr. Johnson. Now when I got there with Mr. Johnson, who was a lawyer, sir, he allowed me to stay in the home overnight. Change up and everything. Well, when I came downstairs, there was somebody sitting in the chair. Somebody sitting in the parlor and on the sofa. Anybody want to guess who that was? Who? My wife. He had sent for my wife. Oh, wasn't that so sweet of him? That's right. And he said, Freddie, I think you need to change your name. Because now, if you don't change your name, they can catch you. I said, okay. So we started throwing some names around. Now his name is Mr. Johnson. He said, well, Freddie, how about Frederick Johnson? I said, wow, I don't know, because everybody up here name is Johnson. Y'all trying to set me up to get caught. I don't want that Johnson name. And I didn't tell you my birth name. So here it is. Allow me to tell you my birth name. Frederick Augustus Washington Bailey. That's a name, isn't it? Well, somebody has mentioned about the play, Lady of the Lake. And in that play, there was a gentleman by the name of Douglas. His was 1S. I said, I like that name. But instead of 1S, I will not snore on you. But what I will do, all right, I'll take that Douglas, but I need another S attached to it. So you will pronounce my name as Douglas. So the S would sound Douglas. Everybody try that. Douglas. Ooh, somebody got it over there. They riding on a train over there. They just went, Douglas. If I wasn't careful, it would sound like a snake in here. That's right. Master Carmel, you in here? Well, at that time, Mr. Johnson said, okay, you and your beautiful bride, y'all need to load up and y'all need to get on out of here. So we wound up going to New Bedford, Massachusetts. And when I got up into New Bedford, Massachusetts, that old black guy came up to me with a magazine called The Liberator. He said, you need to read this. And I said, I don't have time to read that. He said, oh, you must be one of these uppity blacks. So when he said that, sir, he kind of got next to me. Because then, you know what I told him? I said, I have, since you called me that, I have my PhD on my back. And I showed him my back with the whips and everything. He said, oh, you are a slave. I said, yes, I was. I was a slave down in Maryland. He said, oh, I'm sorry. And then he told me, he said, look, the Liberator is ran by a gentleman by the name of William Lord Garrison. I'd like to introduce you to him. I said, okay, fine. Well, I go to the meeting, and I'm sitting minding my business, and this gentleman said, Frederick, come. I get up and I go, and he introduced me to this fine-looking white gentleman, William Lord Garrison. And when I heard Mr. Garrison speak, he did something for my heart. I was taken aback because I had never heard of a white man who was so determined to fight against slavery. And after he got finished speaking, he had me to come up and speak. Now I'll let you know, at the time, I was just a mere young kid, 21 years old. And when I got up to the podium, you can only imagine how scared I was. And I stood up there and I said a little thankful to speak today, and Mr. Garrison, thank you, sir. And as soon as I said, Mr. Garrison, thank you, something hit me. And then I just said, you know, it's a shame that down in the South, you got white people who are beating black people like they're animals. I actually saw my master take my aunt, string her up, and whip her for no reason at all. This is the kind of stuff that we must come to an end. And when I said that, and I said, Mr. Garrison, thank you very much for letting me speak. Man, that whole hall erupted. There was only probably about 3 blacks, and all the rest of them were white, and they stood up and they gave me a standing ovation, and I was just startled at seeing all these white folks. Because, ma'am, the only white folks I'm used to seeing is the ones that's whipping me. But these white folks, they were like happy. So Mr. Garrison, he said, now, let me ask you all, is this a man or a thing? All those white folks out there said, that's a man. Are we going to allow him to go back and be a slave? No. Are we going to support him? Yes. Well, I have you know, after that he pulled me in the room and he said, Frederick, I want you to go on a 6-month speaking tour with me. I'll pay you $25 a week. Ma'am, by this time I was having a little family. You know what I did? I said, I can't speak, but I'll go get that $25. Well, when it was all said and done, as time goes on, in 1845 I wrote my first book, The Narrative and Life of Frederick Douglass, which was written in 5 different languages and sold 11,000 copies. The white folks in the South did not believe that I wrote this book. They figured that William Lloyd Garrison wrote the book for me. He wrote the foreword, I wrote the book. And like I said, 5 different languages, 11,000 copies. I remember one day, my wife and I, we were home having breakfast. William Lloyd Garrison come bursting in the door. He said, Frederick, you gotta leave. In your book, you named all your masters. They'll come and get you. And I told him, I said, I can't leave because I got a speech to do. He said, well, you need to forget that speech and get out. Well, my beautiful wife, Anna, she's sitting there holding the baby, Annie, and she's like, Frederick, you must go. And I'm like, but baby, no, Frederick, you must go. I'll take care of this. Go, Frederick, don't worry. Well, I got on the first steamboat to Canada, and then I went to England. When I came back 2 years later, at the age of 29, I came back a free man. I came back a free man, but prior to coming back a free man, I was at a reception. Yeah, with all the elites. Anybody ever been to a reception or an outing with all the elites, where they all walk around with their heads like they pigeons? Well, I was there, and believe it or not, Miss Candy Staten, she came over to me, and she said, Frederick, we paid for your freedom. And I said, huh? She said, yes, we sent your master, you are $750. You are officially free now. And I said, oh, so it kind of startled me, so I stepped away from him just to get my thoughts. Wow, I'm a free man. So the wine I had in my hand, I didn't hesitate. I drank it with the quickness, and then the young lady came back to me and she said, Frederick, you can move your family over here and you won't have to worry about anything. Well, it sounded good, but I knew that my freedom was not to be taken for granted. So I told her, I said, thank you very much, but I must go back to the States. So when I got back to these States, sir, I got back as a free man. Did I sit down? No. As a matter of fact, as I move on, in the year 1852, I got 1 vote. Now, before I go into what vote I got, please understand, you all were blessed in 2008 to see the first black president, Barack Obama. Well, I have you know it, study your history. Because I got 1 vote for President of the United States in 1815. And what was really special, I didn't even know I until a year later. In 1882, I got another vote for vice president. But moving back, in 1859, there was an election. Oh, there's an election coming up this year. Please go vote, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in 1859, there were 3 men running for president of the United States. The first name attracted me very dearly. Why did it attract me very dearly? Because his name was Douglas too. So I said, I'll vote for that Douglas, because he had the same name I have. But once I started reading into his platform, I saw that one thing killed it all. He was for more slavery. So I had to get rid of him. And there was another gentleman, his name was Richardson. Now Richardson, he had the same idea. But there was another man. This man was tall, 6'4", slim, that's right, from Illinois. And his name was, y'all all up in my head, y'all messing up with my plate. Play's over, thank you very much. Well, his name was Abraham Lincoln, you're right. And I'll let you know that I went out and I started campaigning for this gentleman. And Abraham Lincoln, believe it or not, because of the black vote that he got because of my campaigning and schooling a lot of the blacks, right, he won the presidency by a narrow margin. I wound up going to the White House, not because I was invited, sir, but there were some things on my mind. Well, before I knew it, when I got to the White House, right, I heard this. Frederick, Douglass. I went up the stairwell. When I walked in the office, Mr. Lincoln was sitting behind this long desk. He stood up, and as he stood up, I just rose right with him. And he says, Mr. Douglass, I heard about you. You've been saying some things about me. I said, yeah. Well, guess what? He said, have a seat. Ladies and gentlemen, you all might want to hear this as I come to it. I sat down, and please understand, you all that are living in this 2020, and you see how young folks are. When I sat down in that seat, ladies and gentlemen, I dare not sit down in a seat such as my homie, West Shire. I dare not sit in that seat like, who the man? Yeah, dude, I want to holler at you, all right? I sat down in that chair so eloquently and so intelligently with my PhD on my back. And Mr. Lincoln asked me, he said, Mr. Douglas, what can I do for you today? I said, sir, first of all, I want to thank you very much for allowing me this opportunity to come today and speak with you. I come today with 3 matters on my mind. The first matter is the freedom of my people, Amendment 13. The second matter, sir, is the war. We have the Civil War that is currently going on, and I am upset at the fact that you are fighting this war with one hand behind your back. Meaning that you're fighting this war with only whites when you got blacks that can come in and they can help you fight this war. Amendment 14. And then I went on to say that, sir, and lastly, the right for every American, as it is stated in the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, the right for every American to vote, Amendment 15. Well, when I got done, Mr. Lincoln, he got up and he stood out and looked out the window. As he looked out the window, he paused. He paused like he was looking down the road to 1963, Washington, D.C., on the mall, with, what's his name, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, saying, I have a dream. So I poured that into play because it's 2020. Can you imagine just being free in 1963? That's what Abraham Lincoln was looking at, 100 years down the road. Well, when it was all said and done, he shook my hand, I shook his hand, and I made my way back to Rochester, New York. Well, on the night of December the 31st, we were all gathered, such as we're gathered now in the church. We heard someone outside, "Heal thee, heal thee, heal thee," coming with a special message. And he unraveled it and he read, "On this hill Emancipation Proclamation is signed, that all blacks in this country are forever free. We celebrate it. We celebrate it. We celebrate it. As I leave from in front of you, ladies and gentlemen, please know that we as a people must teach our children in this 2020 society that it is very important that they read. 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 And if you are a parent or a grandparent, never give up agitating for the knowledge, the freedom, and the aspiration of your children. Thank you very much.